It was good. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. And if you're new to the channel, I focus on production, mixing, and mastering tutorials to help you become way better at your craft. So today I'm going to be talking about the difference between mixing and mastering. So when I was younger, I thought of mastering as something very different from what it actually is because I used to think when artists sing in the studio, they just sing out of what they like without any writing, any preparation. And then after the song or after the recording, then the producer will tell them, okay, sit and learn what you've sung. And that's what mastering is, to master what you've sung. Imagine how funny and stupid that sounds. That was I used to think. Maybe 20 years ago. Here we are today. In case you are thinking something worse than that, more ridiculous than that, that's completely trash. Okay. Mastering and mixing are two different things that are hyper important in music. And I'm going to use visuals to show you the difference between the two. So right now, I'm sure you can see my screen, and this is a beat I have worked on in the past. And as you can see, I'm using FL Studio, and this is my mixer. Okay, this is my mixer. Now, mixing is actually routing all your instruments, all the components, your piano, your guitars, your drums, every single perk that make up your drums, adding them to your mix, adding them to your mixer, and trying to level it. Like you see the knobs you see right here is to reduce the volume or increase the volume of each individual sound. Okay, that's actually what mixing is. Okay, in other words, think of it as putting different ingredients into a pot of soup. So, of course, you know the kind of ingredients you put and when you put them, the particular order you use in putting them determines what type of soup will will form at the end of the day, because ingredients is what matters. Two different type of soups have different types of ingredients. So we can tell Afrobeats is different from R&B, and R&B is different from hip hop. And what makes it different? The way the drums, the chords, everything, the rhythm are not the same. And those components, just like me saying ingredients in a soup, okay? So in mixing, you're trying to mix those ingredients properly to bring the best soup ever, the best soup of that kind. That's exactly what you do in mixing. So the mixing of the ingredients is just like the same thing as leveling each sound so that it can blend and be sitting properly in the mix so that the drums are not too louder than the chords are not too louder than the shakers. Okay, depends on how you want it to be, anyways. Now we have both panning and we have other things like adding delay, reverb, saturation, and all those things. I'm going to have a very long series about mixing on this channel. But for now, I just want to talk about the differences between mixing and mastering. Now that you know mixing is about making all the ingredients, all the instruments sit properly and make everything sound nice. What is mastering? Now, here is your master chain. Every single instrument in this mixer is routed to the master chain. If I click on it, you're gonna see this something like wire comes to this. Click on every single one of them is routed to the mixer. So what happens is this master is where all of them are routed to. So if I turn off this master, none of these will play, even if I press play, because everything is connected here. And if this is on, everything plays. So mastering is adding effects on this chain. This chain is called mastering chain. If you add effects here, because I clicked here, if I add any effect here, it's affecting the whole mixed all summarized together. If I click on just this ambience 2 and add an effect, it's affecting only ambience 2. If I add an effect to just kick, it's affecting only the kick. But if I add any effect to the master chain, it's affecting the whole mix. So therefore, mastering is literally enhancing the final mix so that it's very suitable to the ears. For instance, most you can if you go on most channels, you get people say mastering as it's just a loudness thing, make the song sound loud. Well, that's kind of vague because if you are done mixing and then you just increase the volume of your mix very high so that it can sound as loud as what you hear on Spotify, uh you would have something really, really disturbing happen. You have a lot of distortions. So when your kick hits and when your bass hits, you find out there are distortions. It's creating too much extreme noise. That's distortion when it's hitting. And it can burst speakers and it could really, really, really be terrible. So that's why it's not all about volume. If not, just mix and increase this master volume, isn't it? But no, it's not about volume. Okay. So before that increasing of loudness comes in mastering, you're going to add a lot of other plugins that make the whole mix sound even clearer. Because when those plugins are added, when those effects are added, when the loudness finally comes, that distortion or rumbling noise or muddy noise will no longer be there. Okay. So, example, number one plugin we use in mastering is Ozone. So I'm not going to go very deep into Ozone, but Ozone is literally a bundle, just like we have Valhalla bundle, Fab Filter bundle, and all. In Ozone, all of the plugins in Ozone are mainly for mastering. So I just open my Ozone and I try to click here. Now, this is all the audio effects they have. You have the clarity, dynamic EQ, dynamics, equalizer one, equalizer two, exciter, imager, impact, low end focus. Now, all these things you see is what comes with actual mastering. So you see, it's not all about the loudness increasing. Now, the only one effect here that actually does something to loudness is maximizer. And the truth is, by the time you work on all these effects on your track, by the time the maximizer is being added, you figure out it's already louder than the initial original mix because all of these effects is doing something to the mix, make it brighter, make it more appealing. Now, most times after mixing, your songs would sound a bit muffled or sound a bit calm or not saturated. Your different instruments, your synths and all might sound too calm. You might not tell. But if you put it right there in Spotify, Apple Music to compete with other, imagine you're just playing songs like your Spotify is on the shuffle and you just listen to one very loud song and the whole instrument sounds very, very bright and loud and warm. And then your song's playing next and it's very low and cold. Now, what happens is anybody will just tap the next and go to the next because they might not even wait to hear what your song has to offer because somehow it's too calm, it's not exciting like the other. So that's what mastering does. Mastering actually makes your song sound as good as those on Spotify so that it can compete. So two songs can be played. Compare these two songs. And this one. What do you notice? They are the same, but one can compete better on streaming platform, and that's what mastering does, and that's the use of all these plugins. And I'm going to take my time and explain every of these plugins on this YouTube channel, how they are used and everything. But the difference, the main point of this video is to tell you the difference between mixing and mastering. And when it comes to mastering, like I said, the most famous part of mastering is the maximizer, making it very loud. Now, the loudness is not in terms of volume, but it's in terms of LUFS, not in terms of normal dB. It's in terms of LUFS, perceived loudness, whereby the loudness is still zero on the master chain, but the maximizer makes your ear perceive it more louder, even if the volume on your master chain, which is here, volume on master chain is still at 0 dB, 100%. See what I'm saying? So that's actually what mastering is all about. And for those of you upcoming producers watching, are you supposed to master your beats? Of course, yes. Why? For marketing purposes. So if you're just like me that post your beats on Spotify, now an artist could just be going through songs and then Spotify recommend your beats. If your beats is not competing with what he has just been listening to, he can just make it click away. Your beat has to sound energetic, has to sound clear, has to sound bright and excited. And what happens is it can make somebody just, wow, I love these beats. Who made this? Open your Spotify profile and maybe see your, discography, biography, and try to contact you and you get to work. So as long as you're putting your beats out there for sale, it should be mastered. But when you're actually now selling it to the artist, you should sell the mixed version. When the artist has paid for it and they want the file, now you send the mixed version. Why? So that when they add vocals on it, their engineer can remaster everything. But if you send the mastered version that is too loud, when they add vocals on it, the vocals will swallow their whole voice and it might not sound good at the end of the day, but you'll still have to remaster it. So I hope you enjoyed this video and you've gotten the clarity between mixing and mastering. Also, I created a free Telegram, still pretty young, where producers can connect and share ideas. Now, in this free Telegram, you are free to post your beats and I can review them, tell you where to improve on your beats, tell you what makes sense and what doesn't make sense in your beats so that you can improve by the day. And there are other producers right in that group that also help you, and also you can get access to information, plugins, and all those things. So the link is in the description. If you want to be part of that community, go right in the description and click on the Telegram link. I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.